Think about the last time you logged into LinkedIn. You probably updated your job title, accepted a few connection requests from people you barely know, and maybe congratulate a former coworker on their new promotion. It feels like a normal social media platform. It is a place where professionals go to network, upload their resumes, and scroll through a feed of corporate achievements. Because it looks and acts like a social media site, we tend to think it makes money exactly like Facebook. But that is a massive illusion. In 2016, the technology giant Microsoft bought LinkedIn. They paid a staggering $26.2 billion in cash. To put that into perspective, Disney bought Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar combined for less than half of that amount. Why would Microsoft pay $26 billion for a boring website where people just look for jobs and post corporate buzzwords? LinkedIn is not actually a social media company. If you are using LinkedIn for free, you are not the customer. Your career, your data, and your connections are the product being sold. To understand how this massive money-making machine actually works, we have to go back to the very beginning. The year was 2002. A man named Reid Hoffman, who was a core member of the famous PayPal mafia alongside Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, had an idea. He wanted to create a simple digital Rolodex. At the time, professionals kept physical business cards in a little spinning file on their desk. Hoffman wanted to put that network on the internet. In its early years, LinkedIn was incredibly slow and undeniably boring. By 2004, a fun new website called MySpace was exploding in popularity. Soon after, Facebook arrived, and everyone was obsessed with posting party pictures, playing digital farm games, and updating their relationship statuses. Compared to those exciting platforms, LinkedIn was a digital ghost town. It was just a plain white website with a block of text. But being boring was actually LinkedIn's greatest superpower. While other social networks had to constantly fight to keep teenagers entertained, LinkedIn quietly became something much more important. It became essential for professional survival. You did not go to LinkedIn to have fun. As the years passed, it slowly evolved from a static digital resume into a map of the global workforce. It began tracking the movement of human capital in real time. And that is where the genius of their business model truly begins. Think about the raw data that LinkedIn collects. If a normal data broker wants to know the internal management structure of Apple or how many software engineers Google just hired, they will have to spend millions of dollars doing research. It is highly sensitive, valuable corporate intelligence. But LinkedIn does not have to do any research. The users do all the hard labor for them completely for free. When you get a new job, you are proud. You want your friends, your family, and your former bosses to know. So, you log into LinkedIn and you type your exact new job title, the name of your new company, the month you started, and the specific skills you use every single day. You are voluntarily typing your most valuable professional data directly into their central servers. Millions of people do this every single day. LinkedIn has convinced the entire global workforce to build and update a massive corporate database for free. So, how do they turn that free data into billions of dollars? They do it through three distinct revenue pipelines. The first pipeline is the absolute core of the company. It is called Talent Solutions. Imagine you are the head of human resources at a massive tech company, and you desperately need to hire a senior software engineer who specializes in artificial intelligence. You could post a job ad on a normal website and wait for people to apply. But the best engineers in the world already have great jobs. They are not checking job boards. These people are called passive candidates. LinkedIn has the exact names, locations, and resumes of every single passive candidate in the world. But they do not just give that information away. They sell a wildly expensive piece of enterprise software called LinkedIn Recruiter directly to corporate HR departments. A company will pay thousands of dollars per year for just a single employee to have access to this special recruiter dashboard. This software allows headhunters to use advanced filters to search the entire global database. They can search for people who have exactly 5 years of experience, who live in London, and who used to work at Microsoft. Once they found the perfect person, LinkedIn charges the recruiter even more money to send a direct message, call, and email to try and poach their employee. Corporations happily pay billions of dollars for this access because hiring the wrong persons is incredibly expensive. And LinkedIn Recruiter is the most efficient hunting ground on the planet. This single product generates the majority of LinkedIn's massive revenue. The second pipeline is marketing solutions. This is their advertising business, and it operates on a completely different level than anything on Facebook or Instagram. If a company wants to sell a $20 pair of shoes, they go to Facebook. The ads are cheap, and they show them to millions of random people. But imagine a company that sells complex specialized cybersecurity software that costs $100,000 a year. They cannot sell that to a random teenager scrolling through videos. They need to sell it to the chief technology officer of a massive bank. Getting a meeting with a chief technology officer is almost impossible. But LinkedIn knows exactly who they are, where they work, and when they are online. Because of this extreme precision, advertising on LinkedIn is notoriously expensive. A single click on a normal social media ad might cost 50 cents. On LinkedIn, a business might pay $8, $10, or even $15 for a single click. Business-to-business advertisers gladly pay these astronomical prices because of the surgical targeting. They can tell LinkedIn, only show my advertisement to Vice President of Finance who work at companies with more than 5,000 employees located in North America. LinkedIn guarantees that an advertiser's marketing budget is only being spent on the exact people who hold a corporate credit card. They are not monetizing your attention. They are monetizing your professional identity. Finally, this is the only part of the business model where the average everyday user actually spends their own money. This is called premium subscriptions. If Talent Solutions is fueled by corporate necessity, premium subscriptions are fueled entirely by the fear of missing out. When you use the free version of LinkedIn, you will frequently get a notification that says someone viewed your profile. But when you click on it, the person's face and name are blurred out behind frosted glass. You know someone is looking at your resume. It could be a hiring manager offering your dream job, or it could be an old rival from high school. But LinkedIn will not tell you. They intentionally put a digital blindfold over your eyes. To remove that blindfold, you have to pay a monthly fee which can range from $30 to over $100 a month depending on the tier. They also put strict limits on how many people you can message outside of your immediate network. They create artificial scarcity. Users pay a premium simply to unlock the doors that LinkedIn intentionally locked. It is a brilliant psychological trap that generates billions of dollars in recurring revenue. When you combine these three pipelines, corporate recruiting, surgical advertising, and premium subscriptions, the $26.2 billion price tag Microsoft paid begins to make perfect sense. Microsoft did not buy a social network. They brought a monopoly on professional data. Today, that database is quietly integrated into the software that runs the corporate world. When you use Microsoft Outlook for email, or Microsoft Teams for video calls, LinkedIn data is working in the background, connecting profiles, suggesting contacts, and building an inescapable business ecosystem. The history of LinkedIn is a masterclass in patience and data economics. They started with a boring digital Rolodex and waited for the world to fill it in. They built a system where the raw material is generated for free, organized by the users themselves, and then sold back to corporations at a massive premium. Thank you for watching.